Hi everyone, thanks for joining the SeekOut Demo session. My name is John Tippett. I'm a co-founder and head of product at SeekOut. I'm excited to walk you through as much of the SeekOut feature set as I can and answer your questions. I'm going to be focusing on lots of different areas, but with a special emphasis on some of the diversity sourcing capabilities of SeekOut that were covered in the topic that my colleague Jackie Clayton presented yesterday on diversity sourcing. It's great that we can all gather virtually. I know that in some ways it's really nice that lots of people can come and join sessions who maybe wouldn't have been able to travel before, but I'm sure you, like me, miss some of the in-person interactions, and we know you all miss swag. And so for that reason, we would love to hook you up with some swag. If you go to seekout.com/hrtech, first we'll give you a customized demo that can show SeekOut as it applies to your HR situation. We'll focus on the areas that are most useful for you, and you can ask questions and find out as much as you want. But we'll also give you free swag that's branded with SeekOut so that you can add some flair to your home office and not feel like you're missing out as much on these Zoom-based or online-based sessions. So just go to seekout.com/hrtech and you can get your own personalized demo and swag. For those of you who don't know, SeekOut is the AI-powered platform for recruiting diverse and hard-to-find talent. We help you find, engage, and hire the talent you need. We also provide analytics so that you can understand any talent pool. A little bit about the company. We started SeekOut because we saw some major trends in HR. The first is kind of obvious. It's that talent drives business success. But this has really accelerated over the past few decades. If you look at the value, the assets that a company has, in 1975, the vast majority of assets held by companies in the S&P 500 were tangible assets. They were factories, the widgets they had built, the inventory they had on hand. And a relatively small percentage, 17%, were intangible assets, the people and the ideas they had. Fast forward to 2018, the last time this study was done, and it had completely reversed. Intangible assets were 84% of the value of the S&P 500 companies. That means that the people behind these companies are the most valuable asset, not just in words, not just in concept, but in the actual value that's reported to shareholders. And if you look at the top 10 companies by intangible assets, you see that these are leaders of the modern economy. Clearly, talent does drive business success. The second major trend we saw was that diverse teams win. There are many, many studies that have borne this out. People realize that the companies that have the highest shareholder value and highest earning growth all are more diverse, both in their executive ranks and in the rest of the company. It's quite obvious in some ways why this would be. The customers of these businesses, the people they're selling to, the people they're building products for, are diverse. You need an employee base that can understand the people you are building and selling products for. And if you have those, you're more likely to meet those clients' needs. The third trend we saw was that talent acquisition and management systems don't give you a real view of the talent that's out there or the talent that's in your own company. Tools like LinkedIn or Indeed are great. They'll provide a slice of information about hundreds of millions of candidates. But really, when you think about it, this has not changed a lot in 40 years. 40 years ago, someone may have printed up their experience and education on a really fancy piece of paper, and now you type it into LinkedIn's forms. But it's the same very static, one-dimensional data. On the other hand, we have lots of systems of record, ATSs, HRISs, and CRMs. These all have silos of data about employees or candidates, but they're really narrow slices. Nobody has a complete picture of what the talent looks like. At SeekOut, we believe that building that complete picture is important to understand, recruit, retain talent. We call this Talent 360, and we want to bring in as much information about candidates and employees as we can, power it with AI and ML technologies, to provide answers and actionable insights to corporations. Let's look at how this would work in practice. Using publicly available information and internal company data, we can build a complete view of talent so that we can understand complex questions and give actionable insights to find, for instance, groups of female financial analysts who have top secret clearance, or Black iOS engineers who have worked at startup companies. That kind of information is not available from one source today. You can find pockets of it in different sources, but they don't all communicate. SeekOut's Talent 360 brings this all together so that you can take action and succeed in your business. Our approach has gained a lot of traction. We are really honored by all the companies that have bet on us and believe in our 360 vision and the power it can bring to enterprises. And we're excited that just this month, we raised $65 million to accelerate our Talent 360 vision so that companies can find, hire, retain, and grow their talent. So that's a little bit about SeekOut and how we got started. Let's dive in to the different facets of the product. Let's look at the basics of SeekOut. The SeekOut dashboard is where you can get started with a new sourcing task or get insights about any talent pool. You can also jump back into one of your recent projects, see your sourcing activity, or check in on the status of a campaign to candidates. Let's start by looking at the search page. There are different pools of talent in SeekOut. Public Profiles is almost 600 million candidates across all industries, locations, and job types. GitHub is 29 million software developers who are searchable based on the open source work they've done on projects in GitHub. And Expert is a pool of over 90 million candidates who have patents, research, and papers in deeply technical subjects. Let's jump back to Public Profiles, and you can see the difference that SeekOut's Talent 360 model makes. In addition to the basics of profile information about what people have said about themselves, SeekOut pulls in what they've done in the form of code they've written, papers, or patents, as well as what we understand about the candidate and can infer about them. When it comes to searching these candidates, SeekOut gives you lots of flexibility. We'll go into more detail later, but just know that you can use basic keywords, Boolean construction, or complex Boolean expressions that only SeekOut supports. SeekOut's filters are really a superset of what you'd find in any other tool because they allow you to search for the basic facts like location, company, title, years of experience, as well as what we can infer and what we've gleaned from other sources about these candidates. You can find information like who is more likely to move, who has a security clearance, what level is this candidate likely at, and many, many more. Additionally, you can dig into the diversity of talent pools and target different groups of candidates based on their diversity. And SeekOut has power filters, which allow you to very easily target your search at in-demand roles and qualities. We'll go into more detail on all of that later. Let's start out with a basic search. I'll search for the keyword DevOps, a pretty in-demand role these days. And I'll narrow it down so we're looking at those candidates in Boston. Immediately, that'll take the talent pool down to the 12,000 matching DevOps candidates in Boston. With SeekOut, you're not limited to seeing just the individual results. You can always go to the 30,000 foot view and look at an overall talent pool by clicking on People Insights. This will show you the aggregate data of all 12,000 of those candidates. You can see where they are, what their title is, what the diversity and representation of this pool is, where they've worked in the past, all their skills, years of experience and years in role, basically everything in aggregate to figure out what this pool of talent is like. You can even use these graphs as filters. Say I only want to see those candidates with 10 years of experience or more. I can click on that graph, and that'll filter this list to show me the 8,000 candidates who match DevOps in Boston with 10 or more years of experience. You can always switch back and see the underlying candidates by clicking the Candidates tab at the top. When you've found some candidates that are interesting to you for following up on, you can add them to a project. Projects in SeekOut are where you organize your workflow. You can set status, add tags and notes. You can also share this project with a colleague. That colleague doesn't have to be a SeekOut user. They can still view and comment on your project and the candidates in it. Projects are also where you get contact info for candidates. SeekOut's contact info is the best in the industry. We bring back personal email and phone for the vast majority of candidates in our database. You can also take the candidates in the project and export it to a spreadsheet or to any of our partners. From the project, you can also add candidates to a messaging campaign. SeekOut's messaging campaigns are multi-step, personalized, automated messages which improve the response rates you get from candidates. Let's dive deeper to see a specific use case of SeekOut. With SeekOut, it's easy to understand diversity at your own company, a competitor, or anywhere in any talent pool. It's also possible to target diverse candidates so that you can fill the top of your funnel with a more representative group of candidates. Let's take a look at how you can figure out the diversity at a specific company. I'll filter by Dell, which brings back the Dell employees. And then I'll click on People Insights. From there, I can scroll down to the diversity graph and see representation of different diverse groups within Dell. I don't have to look at just the aggregate data for Dell. I can use any of SeekOut's search or filter capabilities to narrow down this set. For instance, I can look at executives at Dell and the diversity within that group. And then I can click on the female graph to see just the female executives at Dell and the analytics about that overall talent pool. By clicking on the Candidate tab at the top, I can see the individual female executives at Dell. This kind of information is available for any company, any role, any talent pool in SeekOut, and can help you be a much more strategic diversity partner with your organization. Let's see how this can be used to look at diversity and representation within a specific talent pool, not just a single company. I'll search for electromechanical engineer, and SeekOut will instantly bring back results. I'm going to narrow down using SeekOut's diversity filter to find the Black electromechanical engineers. You can see that SeekOut can achieve both precision and recall, bringing back many, many candidates, and they actually are African American or Black electromechanical engineers. If I jump over to People Insights, I can see the aggregate data, the bird's eye view of this talent population. I can see who's hired these employees, what kinds of titles they have. And I can understand more where I could target to find more candidates like these. When I'm sharing information with a hiring manager, or even when I'm sourcing on my own, I can turn on a mode in SeekOut which helps reduce unconscious bias. It replaces photos, names, and some of the hints that people latch onto to trigger biases and removes that information so that you can focus on the skills and requirements of the job rather than preconceived notions about what someone in that role should look like. SeekOut is constantly improving our diversity capabilities. We just recently added 2 new diversity filters for Native Hawaiian candidates as well as LGBTQ allies. You can even do multiple combinations of diversity filters and get great results. If we look for sales or account executives with SeekOut's Power Filter, and then apply the female and black diversity filters, we can take a look at the folks that come back. We're still in our redacted reduced bias mode, but if we turn that off, we'll see that these candidates are indeed qualified for the role, black and female. SeekOut supports this kind of powerful diversity sourcing across all roles and all industries. So you can become a diversity hero within your organization. Let's look at another powerful part of SeekOut, and that's finding invisible tech talent. Tech candidates are often very hard to find because they don't have rich public profiles. They don't write a lot about what they've done. Instead, SeekOut goes to where they've done the work and figures out what their skills are, and then builds out searches that make it easy to find these in-demand candidates. SeekOut's GitHub pool of candidates is a largely untapped pool because GitHub is a social network for code. It's not a social network for people. Profiles on GitHub are incredibly sparse, but if you click through enough, you can see the code that these candidates have written in real open source projects. SeekOut analyzes that code, and it analyzes each project that's being worked on in these open source communities, so that we can give every developer that we find in our GitHub database a SeekOut Coder score overall and evaluate their ability in each language. And then we merge that information with their public profile, because public profiles do have some key pieces of information like location, company, title. Power filters in the GitHub search work similarly to public profiles. You can pick in-demand software skills like machine learning, and then filter by location. In this case, we'll choose London. And if there's a language requirement, you can choose that as well. Instantly, you'll bring back the candidates that match your search. In this case, almost 13,000 in London. These rich profiles show you not only what the candidates have said about themselves, but what they've done in open source code. Even better, you or a hiring manager can click through to see the actual code they've contributed to these projects. You do this before you've ever done a phone screen, before you've ever brought them in for a whiteboard interview. This kind of access makes these candidates visible on SeekOut when they are invisible everywhere else. Of course, you can get insights into these GitHub candidates too. This can help you figure out what topics and skills these candidates are experienced in, and what repositories you might want to follow or have someone on your team look into. GitHub candidates can be added to projects. You can get contact info for them and add them to messaging campaigns or export their data to your ATS or CRM, just like any other candidates in SeekOut. Tapping into SeekOut's GitHub pool of technical talent gives you a competitive edge in finding candidates that aren't being found by your competitors. Let's see how SeekOut can help you discover deep technical experts that can drive your business forward. In the expert pool of SeekOut, we have over 90 million candidates, all indexed and rated based on their papers, patents, and research. You can search it in multiple different ways, but one of my favorites is the topic search. Just enter a topic you're interested in, say coronavirus. You can specify the dates in which you want the person to have worked. And you can add extra topics. SeekOut will even suggest related topics. Once you've configured the search, you run it, and SeekOut will bring back the experts behind the paper or the patent. You can think of a tool like Google Scholar or Microsoft Academic as bringing back the papers themselves, but we don't want that. We want the people behind them, because that's what's going to drive our business forward. We'll show important information like H-index and I-10 index, which show how influential these experts are. And we make it easy to find colleagues, people who have worked on real projects with these candidates. You may not be able to hire someone away from Harvard, but you can find associates of hers who she has worked very closely with and would have similar experience to. You can even use this feature to find associates and colleagues of these candidates who are at your own company who could be used to reach out. And you can use dozens of SeekOut filters, including ones like early in career, to figure out the best candidates to target. Expert candidates can be added to projects, just like other candidates. You can get contact information, share this information with hiring managers, and export the data into your ATS or CRM. And of course, you can get insights into the talent pool. We'll show you the types of papers, patents, and documents that these candidates work on and their areas of expertise. You can even click into these documents to see the source material or abstracts and learn more about their specific work. Especially in this time of reduced travel, it's hard to go to conferences. Conferences aren't happening. The money that is spent kind of inefficiently sponsoring booths or talks at conferences can now be spent, that time can be spent targeting candidates based on their participation in these conferences. If I look for people at the NeurIPS conference for the past few years, that's a simple search in SeekOut. You can find everyone who's presented there and reach out to them, filter, find the candidates that are interesting to you, and find their colleagues. These candidates, much like the GitHub candidates, rarely spend much time updating an official public profile on a place like LinkedIn. This information about them is not searchable in other tools. But because SeekOut has built the Talent 360 profile of these candidates, you can learn about them, understand them, and recruit them. SeekOut's Talent 360 platform and powerful search engine returns great candidates no matter what way you like to search. If you like to use simple keywords, we'll bring back very relevant results. If instead you want to use filters, you can click and add filters easily. SeekOut has filters that cover dozens of capabilities, and you can choose different filters to show in your UI to optimize for the kind of background and candidate information that you're most interested in. You can customize, reorder, and make SeekOut personalized for you. Power filters are one-click access to very complex searches so that recruiters don't have to spend their time building complex searches, but instead can evaluate results. If you choose something like relational databases, underlying this is a deep Boolean query which finds specific relational database technologies on people's profiles so that you can find the right candidates. SeekOut will highlight the matches in the key match section so you know why these people are being returned. And then you can use more filters to narrow down, so you can use location and power filters, or seniority, or years of experience. The ability to freely combine filters in SeekOut makes it a very powerful search tool. If you like Boolean searches, you can use full Boolean in your SeekOut searches. There's no limit to the length or complexity of your Boolean queries. And SeekOut has a customized search syntax that lets you target your Boolean at specific fields. In this instance, I'm using the cur title field to find the word engineer somewhere within the current title. SeekOut will highlight why these candidates are being returned by bolding the proper search terms within their profile. If you don't want to build searches at all, you can use SeekOut's AI matching tool. AI matching starts with a job description or a list of required and optional skills for a role, and builds searches on your behalf. Just tell AI matching the company, the title, and the location you're sourcing for. We've already analyzed all roles in all locations, so we have suggestions for what a good current job title would be for a candidate for this role. But you can choose your own. And then you can fill in the must-have and optional skills for that role. Again, SeekOut will suggest skills, but you can fill in what you want. You can even add Boolean expressions as part of these required skills. AI matching supports all the filters within SeekOut, so you can apply diversity filters, seniority filters, location filters, and AI matching will go and build queries on your behalf and then bring back those candidates ranked by relevance. When the candidates are returned, you review them. If the candidate is a good fit for the role, click Accept and they'll be added to the project. If you click Decline, AI matching will learn from your feedback to improve results on the next round. Once you've given feedback on a few, you can click to get as many more results as you want. AI matching will build the search for you and leave it to you to do the evaluation. An even simpler way to search is to use SeekOut's candidate cloning feature. Simply start with a candidate that's a good fit for the role and choose the clone command. SeekOut will create an AI matching project based on that initial candidate. Candidates will be returned that match attributes, and you can say accept or reject to teach the AI matching algorithm what you're looking for in that candidate. As you give feedback, the matches will become better. You can even edit the attributes that are used for the cloning feature. So you could look for a candidate in a different location or with an emphasis on different skills that that initial candidate had. Candidate cloning is flexible and takes your feedback to bring back the best candidates available. Once you've found candidates, you need to get them to engage with you. SeekOut's messaging features can help with that. SeekOut allows you to create multi-step personalized message campaigns, which you create to engage the candidate over a series of messages. These messages are personalized with data from the candidate's profile, and they come from your email address, and the replies and opens are monitored so you know if you're engaging with the candidate and if they're paying attention to what you're sending them. Studies show that candidates engage most effectively over a series of 4 to 6 messages, and so you can build up these kinds of multi-step campaigns to ensure that you're reaching and getting responses from the candidates you care about. We've seen some of SeekOut's talent insights already, but there's more to it. You can dig into insights about any company, about any role, about any location, or with any search you create. If we want to find, for instance, where the female software engineers are, with one click, we can dig in and see that more of them are in San Francisco than any other location. Google has more female software engineers than any other company, with Microsoft as a close second. And these are the kind of titles. You can also look at where they've worked in the past or any information about their career. Talent insights aren't limited to what you can see in SeekOut. You can export all of this data to Excel to use in your own spreadsheets, presentations, and discussion with leadership. Armed with this kind of information, you can make more strategic decisions about companies to target for talent, locations to hire, especially in these times when remote work is such an overwhelming possibility, and for the kinds of roles and kinds of skills your competitors have compared to your own company. With Talent Insights, you can become a more strategic advisor. SeekOut is great for finding candidates in all kinds of roles, but it really excels at specialized searches. Let's imagine we're trying to hire a human resources manager who's had experience at a startup before. You probably remember that SeekOut's power filters let you find in-demand roles. So we'll add the power filter for Human Resources Manager. And we're looking in Seattle, so let's narrow that down. But we want to find someone who has experience at small companies, especially startups. So we'll go back to Power Filters. We'll go to Lists of Companies, and we can see the Startup section. SeekOut, as part of the Talent 360 view of candidates, understands startups and the stage of them. So if we want to find someone who's worked at an early stage startup currently or in the past, you just apply that power filter. And you'll see that these human resources managers all have experience with small startups. That kind of search isn't possible with other tools, and SeekOut makes it very easy. Another area that's hard to find candidates in is cleared candidates. Often, cleared candidates don't say that they have clearance, so you're limited to the number of them that you can find. SeekOut has a different approach. Suppose we want to find an electrical engineer, and we want them to have a security clearance. SeekOut has analyzed all the jobs posted in the last few years to understand which ones require a security clearance. So we can go off what candidates say about their clearance or what we've inferred based on the role they're in. Let's say we want to find someone with a top secret or equivalent clearance. Instantly, the candidates will come back. You can see this top candidate here doesn't list security clearance, but we infer it, and when you mouse over it, will tell you why. She worked at Boeing and Northrop Grumman. At those companies, security clearance in these locations is typically required, so we assume she has it as well. The same for these other candidates. We assume it based on the roles they're in currently. This kind of access and 360-degree view is what makes SeekOut stand out when you're doing searches. Another common requirement for recruiters is to target candidates that are at the right level for the job they're looking for. Maybe they're looking for a software development role. So they want someone who knows AWS. But they're hiring for a specific level within their company, and they want to find people whose salary, experience, and expectations match up with that. They can go back to Power Filters and assume they're working at Amazon, and they want to hire someone who's an L7. This will filter to people who are not at Amazon, but are at other companies and are at a level that is equivalent to Amazon's L7 role. Again, this is the power of Talent 360, making candidates accessible to you based on criteria you wouldn't be able to find with other systems. There's much more to SeekOut, including the ability to move beyond passive talent to ATS rediscovery powered by Talent 360, referrals, and much more. Thank you so much for taking the time to learn about SeekOut. If you have any questions, please drop them in the chat. We would be happy to answer them. And I encourage you to go to seekOut.com/HRTech and sign up for a demo that'll be personalized for your needs. And you'll get some SeekOut swag for your home office. Thanks so much, and I hope the rest of the conference is a big success for you.